In this video, I will show you how to configure VLAN on Huawei switch. We will also go through port VLAN assignments and adding port descriptions. Let's begin. I just factory reset this device so no configuration is present except for the host name or device name. First is we will check the switch current VLAN configuration. Let's run the command display VLAN. We can see here that we only have the default VLAN, which is VLAN 1, and all the interfaces are assigned to it by default. Every time we factory reset the device or newly out of the box, all the interfaces are assigned to VLAN 1, so basically we can just plug and play this device. Now we will add more VLANs on this Huawei switch. To add a VLAN, we will go to System View. Enter the command VLAN followed by the VLAN ID. VLAN ID range is starting from 1 to 4094. For this demo, we will add VLAN 10, which in 10 is the VLAN ID. Next is we need to add a VLAN name for our reference. Best practice is to add a VLAN name for us to easily identify the VLAN or the purpose of the VLAN. Before you configure the VLANs, you need to plan first how many VLANs and what's the purpose of the VLANs you're going to create or add. In my case, this VLAN 10 is for admin users, so I will give it a name of admin. Quit to go back to System View. Let's enter the command display VLAN again. Notice that it will show the total number of VLANs, which is 2, since we just added a new VLAN. We can see the VID or VLAN ID, which we just created, which is 10, but no ports yet assigned unto it. All the ports are still assigned to VLAN 1. We need to manually assign ports to each VLAN. But first, we will add one more VLAN. Same process. You can add multiple VLANs if you prefer. Many modern enterprise-grade switches support the full 4094, but older or smaller switches may be limited to 1024 or fewer active LANs. This depends on the hardware limitations of the device. For this VLAN 100, we will give a name of guest since this VLAN is for guest network. Quit to go back to System View. We will add another VLAN, which is VLAN 999. This VLAN would be for management or MGMT for short. Now let's display the VLAN configuration again. We can see here that we have now 4 VLANs present. VLAN 999 for management network, VLAN 100 for guest network, VLAN 10 for admin network, and the default VLAN 1. Notice that there's no interface or interfaces assigned to the new VLANs we just created. All the interfaces are still assigned to VLAN 1 or to the default VLAN. This is because we need to manually assign interface or ports to each VLAN. Now we're going to assign ports to VLAN. But before that, let's run the command display interface brief to view the interface status. Again, by default, all of these ports are assigned to VLAN 1. We can assign these interfaces to any VLAN we want. For ports 1 to 9, we will leave it to default VLAN 1. For ports 10 to 15, we will assign to VLAN 10 or admin network. For ports 16 to 20, we will assign to VLAN 100 or guest network. We have 2 methods to do it, either by interface or by range. For port 10, we will first assign per interface. For us to do this, we need to enter that specific port. We will use the command interface followed by the port number, which is 10. We need to enter the complete port interface name, which is gigabit 1/0/ followed by the port number we want to configure, which is 10. Next is we need to decide the port link type, whether access or trunk. Enter the command port link type followed by question mark to view the options. You need to understand the difference between trunk ports and access ports. Trunk ports carry traffic from multiple VLANs tagging between network devices like other switches, routers, or firewalls, while access ports handle untagged, single VLAN traffic for end-user devices such as PCs, printers, IP cameras, access point, or even routers or firewalls running on single VLAN. Since this port is for admin user, which is a computer, then we will choose access. Enter the command port default VLAN followed by the VLAN ID. You want to assign this port, which in our case is VLAN 10. Next is we will add a description. Again, it's best practice to add a descriptions or names for our reference. This is for faster troubleshooting or checking the configuration. We can easily identify the purpose of this port, for which user or what device. Quit to go back to System View. Then we will enter the command display, VLAN again. If you notice, port 10 has been removed from VLAN 1 and is now under VLAN 10. UT means untagged or access port. But what if we want to configure multiple interfaces? It will take some time for us to do it one by one. Instead, we use the command interface range. We will add ports 11 until ports 15 on VLAN 10. Again, we can use the question mark to view the option. On Cisco, we will use dash for range. But for this Huawei, we will use to followed by the port, which is port 15. This command will configure this selected port range simultaneously. No need to do it one by one. We need to specify the port link type again, which is access port. We can use the up arrow to locate the command since we run the command earlier. And the default VLAN ID. This is the VLAN we're going to assign to this range of ports or port group. In our case is VLAN 10. Quit to go back to System View. Let's check the VLAN configuration again. Notice that ports 11 to 15 is now assigned to VLAN 10. We can also assign ports 16 to 20 to VLAN 100, which is the guest network. We can do the same process again, or we can use the up arrow but modify the interface number. It would be interesting once you remember and understand the commands. The port link type for this port range or port group is access, and the default VLAN, which is 100, or the guest VLAN. Again, we can add a description on this range of interfaces. Let's go back to System View and show the VLAN configuration again. We can now see the new ports and VLANs assignments. Ports 16 to 20 are now assigned to VLAN 100 or guest network. Ports 10 to 15 are now assigned to VLAN 10 or admin network. The rest of the ports are still assigned to VLAN 1, which is the default VLAN. For security purposes and also best practice is not to use VLAN 1. We cannot remove or delete the default VLAN 1, so what we can do is assign all the interfaces to different VLANs we just created. We can even create a new VLAN and assign all the unused ports just to avoid VLAN 1. Next is we will delete a VLAN. We will delete VLAN 999 or the management network. Enter the command undo followed by the VLAN ID. First is we will try to delete VLAN 1 or the default VLAN. We receive an error. The VLAN has a layer 3 interface, even though we haven't configured anything on VLAN 1 yet. But even if we set VLAN 1 to operate on layer 2, we still cannot delete VLAN 1 or the default VLAN. Let's try to delete VLAN 999. No error means success. Let's check the VLAN configuration again. Notice that VLAN 999 has now been deleted. Let's now check the running configuration. We can see here the VLANs we added earlier. Scroll down and we can see the interfaces. We can see ports 10 to 15, which are access ports and assigned to VLAN 10 or admin network. Ports 16 to 20 are also access ports and assigned to VLAN 100 or guest network. The other ports are blank or we haven't modified yet, so by default, they are on access ports and under default VLAN 1. Finally, we will save the configuration. We will go back to User View and run the command save to copy the running configuration to startup configuration. Press Y then hit Enter on your keyboard to verify. The configuration has now been saved. I hope by now you know how to configure VLANs and assign ports to VLANs on Huawei Switch. Well, that's all for today's demonstration, and I really hope you liked this video. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click on the notification bell for more amazing tutorials. Thank you and see you in the next video.